Okay, welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk about Cuso's 2018 Peru Challenge, and I'm really excited that everyone is here to learn more about the challenge and to get their questions answered. I'm sharing my screen with you right now, so we'll be able to go through some slides on my screen, and then also we have a presenter, Mark Berlin from Charity Challenge, who is really the tour operator for this challenge. We'll also be giving a presentation, and we'll talk more about the details of the challenge and that kind of thing, and he'll be available to answer your questions as well. So we're lucky to have him on the call with us. Right now, I do have the webinar, all of the guests within the webinar muted, so there's not a lot of background noise and that kind of thing. It's a bit easier that way. But if you do want to ask a question, please type it in the questions box. I am going to be monitoring that area throughout this presentation so that I can answer any of the questions that you may have. The next steps after the presentation, if there's any follow-up or anything, I will be sending an email with any of the details of that after the presentation. And I'd first like to start by launching a short poll, just to poll the audience to get your feedback. There we go. Have you ever been to Peru before? So today we're going to be talking about our challenge to trek to Peru, and I'm curious to know if anyone has been there before. So you can just type in that, select the button that suits you best, and we'll get a sense of who's been there and who hasn't. Okay, it looks like everyone has voted. And I'm going to close that and I'm going to share the results. So it looks like no one's been before. So that's exciting. It'll be a first time experience for most people. And I think that's great. Thank you for participating in that poll. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about who I am. My name's Amy Gibson, and I'm the fundraising coordinator or officer, sorry, here at Cuso International. And my role here is to work on peer-to-peer fundraising events, and as well as working with our volunteers to achieve their fundraising target when they go on a placement with us. So my role is fundraising, and part of what this challenge involves is a fundraising component. So I'm here to help you, to help make it easy, to help design a campaign that will play to your strengths so that you can achieve your fundraising targets. As I'm sure you've read, there is a fundraising component to this, and my role really is to help you achieve that. So I look forward to working with you, to helping to plan this challenge, and to help make it a fundraising success as well as a personal success for each of the people that participate in it. So that's a little bit about who I am. I've been with Cuso for a year and a half now. I love my job. I love working with volunteers and fundraising for a cause that is really amazing in my opinion. So that's a bit about me. I can tell you a little bit about our trek. In the past, we have gone on a trek to Peru. We went in May 2015, and everyone completed the trek. Everyone had a really great time. The feedback was really amazing. We had a wide range of ages that participated in the trek. I know I've gotten a lot of questions about if people are fit enough or if they're able to do the challenge. We've had a whole range of ages, and I hope that you had a chance to watch the video that was sent in one of my emails of the trek. It was compiled after the trek in 2015, and from that you can really get a sense of the wide range of ages and the different people, and it gives you really a sense of what it is like. So like I said, our trek in 2015 was super successful, and it raised a significant amount of funds for our organization. So, like I said, this is a fundraising activity, and it is also awareness raising for Cuso International. So, spreading the word about who we are and what we do, the fact that we're sending qualified um, volunteers that have a special skill that they can share with our partner organizations around the world, and really build capacity of our local partner organizations in a whole range of areas. It really is unique to us, and is the fundraising really will contribute to us continuing to do our work and sending volunteers and working on development issues in countries around the world. So that's a little bit about the trek and about our participation in previous years. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw it over to our presenter today. And I'm going to be, like I said, I'm monitoring that questions box. So if there's anything there that you have any questions along the way, feel free to type those in and let me know if you have any specific questions. So let me do that. I am going to throw this over to Mark. Um, Mark Berlin is with Charity Challenge. Are you there, Mark?
I'm here, yeah.
Great.
Is that so? I have.
You have control.
Okay. Make sure. So, can you see the Machu Picchu image?
We see a white screen right now that says
Okay.
the Peru Challenge.
Let's see. It might be loading here.
There it is. I see it now.
Okay, fantastic. Awesome. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the call. Looking forward to answering any questions you guys have. This is actually a special challenge for me. I've done this a couple times myself, and just really fell in love with not just the trek itself, but the people, the place. It's just really quite unbelievable. The Andes themselves are just spectacular. So anyway, as I said, I've done it a couple times, so I'm sure that I'll be able to answer all of your questions regarding travel, food, accommodation, everything, altitude, how fit you need to be, as Amy mentioned. So I'm going to jump right into it. So very quickly, just a little bit about Charity Challenge. We were founded in 1999 by Simon Albert in the UK. We launched the Canadian office officially in 2011. We specialize and oversee fundraising expeditions, so we only work in the nonprofit sector. We only do charity challenges. We don't do, if somebody wants like a G Adventures type thing, we only work with charities. We're TECO bonded, which is a big deal. It insures and covers you guys for a number of things. We're licensed, of course, and we will be your tour operator. We only run challenges that are charity based. There's currently not another organization that we know of anyway in the world that runs more on a yearly basis than we do, that are just based on different charities. So on average, we do about 120 challenges a year. In 2017, we actually just broke 130 challenges, which was, if I'm not mistaken, the most we have ever done in 1 year. And this image is actually taken from the train that you will be on day, I believe it's day 7 of your event. And that train takes you to mile marker 104, which is where you jump out and you spend the day trekking on the Inca Trail, which leads through the Sun Gate down into Machu Picchu. So highlights of the challenge. For you guys, it's a 9-day, typically it's an 8-day challenge, but you're going to be incorporating a Cuso project visit. So it's a 9-day challenge. It's 5 days of trekking. We do reach an altitude of 15,180 feet. Of course, we'll be in Cusco. We'll spend actually quite a bit of time exploring Cusco, and some of the different landmarks there and the amazing restaurants and things like that. So it's a really quite an amazing place. And the people are just fantastic. I threw that in there because they are something that really stood out for me. They were just loving and warm. Most of them seem to be quite happy all the time, smiles on their faces, and it just makes you feel good. So that's a little bit about the challenge itself. This is a map. It's a bit crude, but it'll give you an idea. So you'll see down the bottom right, there's Cusco. And so basically, you're in Cusco for a couple of days before the challenge, actually, the trekking part of the challenge begins. And the morning of your first day of actual trekking, you'll see there's like a little bus driving up north on the screen. It's about a 4-hour bus ride to the Laras Valley. And we go to the Laras Hot Springs, and that's sort of the beginning. You think it will be the perfect end, but it's actually how we begin the trek. It's a natural hot spring, and they're absolutely fantastic. There's a few different, very large-sized pools of varying temperature. They've turned it into obviously a bit of like a place where people can come with their families and whatnot. It's not literally just like out in the wilderness. It's managed and all that kind of stuff and taken care of. So that's where sort of we start off the trek. You have a lovely lunch there. You soak in the hot springs for a while, and then you'll trek from the Laras Hot Springs to Kunkani. Kunkani is the first camping site, and I want to say it was about 3.5 to maybe 4.5 hours, give or take, from the Laras Hot Springs to Kunkani. So it's kind of a short day, but it's a good day because you're not just going right at it. You've had a long bus ride, you've had a nice lunch and a warm soak. So by the time you get to your camp, the camp is set up for you. All the tents are up. The mess tent's up. The kitchen tent is up. The toilet tents are up. It's literally ready to go. You'll find that your main bag. So your main bag is ported for you. You don't have to carry it. You just have a little day pack with the essentials like water, sunscreen, waterproofs, maybe extra shoelaces, things like that, extra pair of socks, and your camera, of course. And when you get to camp, there'll be a large tarp out in the middle of camp with all of your bags on it. So you go and take your bag, you go to your tent, you'll find there'll be thermarests in your tent, inflated, already waiting for you. They'll, after a couple of minutes, they'll come to your tent with a very large bowl of warm water if you want to wash your face or soak your feet or, whatever, you choose, you're welcome to do that. They'll have some snacks and things like that while dinner's being prepared. And then, of course, dinner, evening, and then you start the next day. So the next day you would trek from Kunkani to Wakawasi. And that's a good, I would say, 7.5-hour trek. Very picturesque. You pass some beautiful small landlocked lakes. You can see some glaciers off in the distance. It really is quite spectacular. And along the way, you'll stop for lunch. So I don't know how they do it. It's pretty unbelievable. But after you leave camp, they tear it down. They head to the next campsite, and the kitchen guys actually get ahead of you, get to your lunch spot, set up the whole kitchen tent. They set up the lunch tents. They set up a toilet tent. And by the time you get there, lunch is ready to be served. It's pretty unbelievable. And then from there, of course, you will continue on to your camp in the evening, and then it's the same thing. Your bags will be there, the tents will be up, all that kind of thing. The following day, instead actually of trekking as it shows on the map, we trek almost straight across to Patacancha where, again, the same thing, lunch along the way. But when you get to your destination there's actually a large, depending on the size of the group, there'll be 1 or 2 buses waiting for you with your main bags and everything there. And the bus will take you down to Ollantaytambo, which is just a little bit south of Patacancha. And you'll camp in Ollantaytambo for the night. Ollantaytambo is a beautiful little town. very old cobblestone streets, but just extremely picturesque. Really, really nice. It's a little stop. I think the main stop before you get to Aguascalientes and Machu Picchu. So you camp there the night. You actually have dinner in a restaurant that evening, and the following morning you would jump on a train in Ollantaytambo over to kilometer 104. The train ride, I want to say it was a little over an hour, maybe an hour and 15, an hour and 20 minutes. The train stops, you jump off the train, and you start your trek for the day. And you trek along the Inca Trail on this day. So this day we'll have Inca Trail passes purchased for you, and you trek along this section of the trail. And now both times I've done this section, I have seen, I think the first time we only saw maybe 5 or 6 other people, and the second time I believe we saw maybe 2 or 3 people, which is lovely. And it's our estimation that is happening because a lot of people decide to do the Inca Trail not realizing quite how long and some areas treacherous it can be. And long before they get to Machu Picchu, they give up and they take the train in to Aguascalientes. So kind of works out in our favor. It's a fantastic part of the trail. You see, unbelievable ruins. There's evidence of tiered farming, lookouts. It's unbelievable. And the best part of it is you're trekking through to the Sun Gate. And that is the sort of the ceremonial entrance into the ruins there of Machu Picchu. So you come down through the Sun Gate, and we plan it quite specifically. In fact, everything in the challenge is planned quite meticulously to revolve around experience. Sure, we could get to the Sun Gate midday, but when you get there midday, it's packed. I mean, Machu Picchu it's a very, very busy place. It's a very popular tourist destination. So we know that people have physically trained, they've done fundraising, they've taken time from work, time from family, and they've been preparing for a while. When you get to the Sun Gate and you actually see the ruins with your own eyes, it's an emotional moment. There's going to be some tears and things like some congratulations and things like that. We don't want that experience to be ruined by, 200 other people jammed into this small area, taking pictures, laughing, talking. So we aim to get there just before the park closes. And what we do is we trek down. It's about a 20-minute trek from the Sun Gate to the ruins. We're ushered out of the park, down into Aguascalientes, which is about 15 minutes by bus. We check into a hotel. We stay in a hotel there, and it's all. By the way, all the hotels and the restaurants that we do visit, they're locally owned. We want to make sure that any money that we, give, any business we give, stays in the communities where these people live. So the following morning, you come back up. You come back up with your guides who are actually certified tour guides for Machu Picchu as well. They have a certification. And you walk around with them. I believe we were there for we had about a 2-hour tour. And they walk through the different buildings. They talk about the different types of architecture and what it means and why this was for this type of person and that was for that type of person. It's pretty unbelievable. The aqueducts that are there, they're actually still working. So anyway, you do that tour, and then you have some time to go off and explore on your own. And you're given a bus pass to get back into Aguascalientes and your train ticket. So you can really come down whenever you like, but obviously in time to catch the train. You get on the train back into Cusco, and then you have a celebration dinner that evening, stay in the same hotel you stayed in when you arrived originally, and then the following day, depending on your schedule, the challenge is over. So you can depart, or you can continue with one of our extensions. We have Amazon extensions, Lake Titicaca extensions, a few other choices of things to do. But essentially that is the challenge in a nutshell, of course. So typical day, I kind of went over it already. you wake up fairly early. You trek. You have breakfast. You start the trek. Put this over here so I can see that better. You have lunch en route, and then and on the last day, on the Inca Trail day, you actually have a packed lunch. There's nowhere for the guys to get through and set up, any kind of lunch stop. So they give you a packed lunch. You carry it with you in your day pack, and you stop usually at this really nice waterfall, and there's a big soft grassy area. In fact, there's a little ruin there too, and you just kind of hang out there and have a nice peaceful lunch. Throughout the day, there's multiple stops if you need to stop to use the loo, take pictures. Maybe you're stripping off some of your outer layers because it's warmed up significantly, and now you need to strip down. Things like that. Let me go to the next one here. I can't say enough about the staff. In fact, the guy in the middle there, his name is George. I've only had the pleasure of being on one event with him, but he was unbelievable. He is a local guy, just very spiritual man. Loves what he does. Loves the Andes. There's a wealth of knowledge. He was the main guide, and then the other two guys they're like assistant guides. But the company that we work with out there, that we've been working with for I think it was about since 2000, so almost 20 years. They have quite a number of they're a large company, a number of staff, and they're all fantastic. They're all English speaking. They are first aid qualified. We also employ a doctor who goes on the challenge with everyone, and they're occasionally checking. They'll see things before you even realize. Like they'll see someone breathing real heavy, or they'll see someone rubbing their head, and they'll come over and say, you have a bit of a headache, here, take something. And so it's nice. It's a bit of a peace of mind to know there's an actual doctor, an altitude specialist as well. Even though the altitude's not that severe, you are at altitude, and you can tell. So that's the main reason why we have a doctor in the group. There's numerous local support staff as well, like drivers and horsemen, because once after I think it's the second day, maybe even the first day, I can't quite remember. The first or second day, you have vehicle support. You don't see them, but they're there. If they need to be called in, they'll come, and they can, pick someone up and take them to the campsite. Or if we need something out of one of the bags, somebody forgot a puffer or whatever in their bag, then it can be brought up, no problem. After that, we have mules that carry the main bulk of our stuff, and we have horses as well. If someone just decides that they can't continue, or they've hurt their foot or whatever it might be, then there's the option to jump on a horse for a while and just kind of come along. I will warn you though, you have to wear a funny helmet. Anyway, so tons of support. Like we have an actual tent crew, the cooking staff, of course, and they're ultimately responsible for the running and safety of the group. Accommodation, as I said, we stay in locally owned and accommodated hotels. While we're trekking, you will be in two-man tents, and that will be in the hotel as well. So if you're traveling with a family member, a significant other, a friend, you can request to room together. You can also request your own tent or your own hotel room as well. It does come at an extra cost. I don't believe for the tent it's that significant of an additional cost. I think it was maybe like $40 or something. But the hotel room obviously would be a little bit more, because you'd be taking the room for yourself. But it's an option for sure if you wished. So you just have to let us know all that kind of stuff. Food and drink. This is sort of a typical tent on a nice warm day. If it's a bit more chilly, everything can be zipped up and closed. If it's raining, you're dry, things like that. The meals that are provided, they're nutritionally balanced according to the particular environment, the altitude, things like that. So, breakfast would usually include things like cereals, different types of bread, fresh fruit, juice, coffee, stuff like that. I think scrambled eggs and all that kind of usual breakfast stuff. As I said, lunch is set up along the way. It's quite nice. Halfway through the day you get there, and your bags will be there as well. Actually, again, laid out in a big tarp. So if throughout the day you've gotten really warm, and maybe you started off with a parka and a fleece or something, now they're stuffed in your bag. You don't want to carry them for the last half of the day. You can shove them in in your main bag, and then they'll be waiting for you at your evening camp when you get there. So it's quite nice and convenient. And the food's fantastic. It really is. The vegetarian food's fantastic. Just the regular food is really great. They literally come out. I mean, you're expecting almost like decent camping food, but it is unbelievable what they're preparing and cooking. I mean, it's restaurant quality food. It really is fantastic. In fact, that's probably one of the things I raved about the most when I got back, was the food. Training and fundraising. Well, fundraising, you'll have a deadline to raise X amount for the charity. Training for this type of thing really isn't that big of a deal. It's more cardiovascular than anything else. Whatever you have, bicycle, a stationary bike, a treadmill, a stair climber, or just nothing. Hiking or walking around, use the stairs as much as you can. Just build up your cardio, maybe do some leg exercises, just to kind of strengthen your legs a little bit. You can't really train for altitude. The best thing you can do is just condition your heart and lungs. Because we stop a lot throughout the day, the pace is very slow. The trekking pace is very slow, and that's because of the altitude. It's intentionally slow, and we do stop quite often. And I found when I trained to go the first time, I would get my heart rate quite high, at a safe level, and then I would stop, and I would let it come down, maybe for a minute or so, and then I would start again, and I would get it back up, and I would stop, and I was training my heart to recover a little more quickly, my heart and lungs, because when you stop throughout the day while trekking, you might stop for have a snack, or in the morning before you leave camp, there's some chocolate and some fruit. There's oranges and apples and bananas and some trail mix and things. You can take whatever you like, so you can kind of snack along the way. So we'll stop, for photos, and usually to strip down after the first maybe 20, 30 minutes, people start taking off layers in the morning. So you want your heart rate to recover, as quickly as you can. But as I said, there's really not much to the training for this. Pre-tour administration. So we help with, you have a members area on our website with all kinds of information in there. There's a fact file, Q&As, there's an itinerary, there's some training advice in there, but as I said, it's fairly straightforward. There's visa, vaccination, passport information, and as far as Canadians go, you don't need you don't need a visa, and you don't need any vaccinations to go there. If your nationality is something else, then you'd need to just check to see if you particularly need to get a visa or whatever else. But I've yet to see anyone needing one so far, so I don't think that's something that you're going to find. But we help with everything all the way through. We're here to answer the phone or reply to emails. Questions. There are no silly questions, and I really do honestly mean that. You're taking on this challenge, and you're entrusting us, and you're entrusting your charity to take you there, to get you there safely, and home safely. So there are no amount of questions that are too many. There is no question that's too silly. We really do encourage you guys to ask as much as you can. So what's included in this challenge? So basically, all internal transfers, meals, that's obviously including, water and stuff during the trek, all accommodation, whether in tents or hotels, group first aid supplies, the English-speaking expedition leaders and support staff, drivers, cooks, all that kind of stuff. The doctor is obviously included as well. Relevant backup facilities. As I said, we have horses and we have vehicles at different times. We also donate $20 per person of every group that we take there to local community projects, which right now is a school in the Laurens Valley. And we also make contributions towards climate care to offset the equivalent CO2 emissions from your flights. And what we're doing now, we sort of worked this out between us, the Charity Challenge, and Cuso. If you're interested, you have 2 weeks from today to ask all the questions you need to ask. Work it out with work and family. And if you can book before midnight Eastern time on the 1st, you'll get $100 off of your the balance of your challenge cost. So basically, you pay your deposit, and then when you're invoiced, it would reflect $100 off of the challenge cost total. So there's a code there, Cuso webinar, all uppercase. When you book on the challenge, I think just before the last page there'll be a promo box, and you just type that in there, and it should apply the promo, and you should be good to go. So that's my presentation. Amy, thanks for giving me the opportunity. And you can, do I pass this back to you, or do you take control here?
I don't know. Can you hear me now? I can just, yeah. Okay, perfect. Let's just leave it on that screen. People can read what's there and jot down that,
sure.
That code. Thank you so much, Mark. I think you gave us so much great information and gave us a real sense of what the trek will be like. So thank you so much for that.
Thanks. Yeah, it was sort of in a nutshell. There's so much, it's impossible to really give all the detail, but there's just so much amazing things that you see and do on the trek. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's great. I have a couple of questions
Sure.
about the language on the trek. So for people who are joining in who may be French, for example, maybe we could clarify the language.
Like you mean the guides and the
right, because it's primarily an English operation.
I see what you're saying. So yeah, so the English and Spanish are quite fluently spoken by all of the guides and the assistant guides and the porters and things like that. And their local dialect, which is Quechua, is also spoken. I don't believe that there are French speaking employed. I mean, I can actually find out. They have so many people there working in the industry, even out of the Cusco office there. I can find out if they have any French-speaking guides, and that wouldn't be a problem whatsoever.
Right. Okay. Super. So primarily the trek is in English. Most of the guides and everybody will be speaking English. So, and most of our promotion and things like that will also be in English or have been already in English. But for those folks who do speak French, it's good for them to know that it's primarily in English. And I think you probably want to make sure that everything is communicated to folks in a language that they understand, and that language is going to be English primarily.
Yes.
So yeah, that's good to know.
And I can give me a couple of days to get word back from the office in Cusco, and I'll see if they have someone that could join. Yeah.
Okay. Super. And then if someone does want to book the trek, what are the next steps? So you talked about the members area, so we can send them to our website, or your website actually, that has all of the information on it. And there's a spot that says book now. And then they go in to that spot and...
Yeah, so essentially they'll follow the link to the challenge page, and there they can do a little more reading. There's the itinerary. There's PDFs basically they can open up. There's, like I said, a fact file, Q&As, itinerary, the same things that they'll find in the members area after they book. So, after they've asked all their questions and they've made their decision, there's a little tab there that says book now. So they click book now, they put in their username and a password, and then it starts taking them through a booking process. I think there's maybe 5 or 6 pages of just different things. So your personal information would be on one, diet, allergies, medications you might be taking. On another one, there would be some things about, where did you hear about this? Was it through a charity? Was it, it's all pretty quick, easy stuff. They get through to the payments. Well, and just before the payment page, if they wanted to, use this promo code, they would punch that in, then they would go to the payment page, they would pay their deposit. And at that point, they would just wait for a couple things on the back end to happen. Usually it could take literally anywhere from 2 minutes to maybe 24 hours, depending on, how long it takes for. I would receive an email essentially saying this person's booked. I would forward a confirmation email, Amy, to you, and then you would just approve them through your members area,
Right.
Which is different than theirs. But and that's it. So that can happen within the span of a couple of minutes, or usually if I don't see somebody who's been authorized within 24 hours, I would contact you and just, maybe you're sick or out of the office. And in some cases, I can even authorize them, with your permission, because that way they don't have full access to their members area until they've been authorized to join. So typically, once somebody's paid a deposit, they want access to everything right away, so they can start reading and that kind of thing. If they choose to pay the deposit, because they can do a split payment. So they could pay half of the deposit now and the other half next month. If they do that, they won't get full access to the members area until the second half of the deposit has been paid and then they've been authorized. So typically they're waiting a month if they do the split payment.
Right. Okay. Okay, super.
Hopefully that answers your question.
It does. Yeah, that's great. So we know to go in, we're going to click on that booking, and then you get asked a whole bunch of questions, lots of details about, contact information and all of that sort of thing. I think you're also going to need to have your passport handy. I think it does ask you for maybe
It does.
the
And you know
name
what,
on the
actually,
passport.
you don't have to have it right away. In fact, what we would typically say to someone is, if your passport, is due to expire within 6 months of departure, renew the passport and get us your new number. So that's usually what we would say. Now, what you can do is you can book with your current passport, just so we can at least order your Inca Pass, because they are on a first come, first served basis, Inca Trail passes. And that way we can ensure we have passes for everyone. And then they can get their new passport, and all they have to do is bring a photocopy of their old passport photo page, because when you go, it's government run, the Inca Trail passes. So when you go to get your Inca Trail pass, they're going to ask to look at your passport. And if you've booked with an old passport and you haven't given us your new information, and that doesn't match, even though your name's the same, they know that it's you, but the passport number is different, they will not let you on the Inca Trail. It's really, really governed and strict. So, it's up to the individual participant. They can either, get the pass and then, get us the new information, take a photocopy of the old one, or even take the old one with them. Or they can wait and just get their new one. Me personally, I would rather just book with whatever passport I had, so that I could know that I'm getting an Inca Trail pass.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then either, bring a copy with you or whatever else. But and then just let us know so we can update the passport information on your booking.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then when you're in there, you can also make your deposit. So you can go in, enter in your credit card information, and make your deposit at that same time.
Yep, you got it. Yep.
Right. Okay. Super. That's great. Those were the main questions that I had. Does anyone else, if they have any questions, type them in now. We still have a few minutes left on the call. If you want to type any specific questions, feel free to do that. I'm monitoring those now. And if I don't see any come through, I guess what else I want to touch on is the fundraising component, so there is a fundraising commitment along with this. Like I mentioned before, it is a fundraising activity, and Mark said that he works with charities, and we're able to leverage this challenge as a fundraising initiative for our organization. And I can tell you that that, like I said, I'm here to support you. We also provide you with lots of tools to help you achieve your goal. So we will provide you with an online fundraising page, and that means that you'll have a page dedicated to your own campaign where you can go in and update your message and tell people why you're doing this and why you believe in Cuso, and share photos and that kind of thing, and solicit basically your network to help with the fundraising component. So I will be coaching you up on how to do that. I will hold another webinar on the specifics of how to leverage your fundraising page and raise funds. I'm also able to sort of, like I said, devise a plan for you that works for you and your network, so that you can achieve your fundraising goal. And everybody's plan might be a little bit different, depending on who they are and what your network looks like and that kind of thing. But I'm really here as a support, and I hope that that fundraising commitment is not a deterrent for you. I hope that is a motivating factor. What I've heard from people in the past is that um, the fundraising component was the easy part. It's the trek part that you've got to really, enjoy and sort of focus on getting the trek done. But the fundraising will come, and I'm here to support you with that. Um, so I hope that we can talk more about that. I have another
Amy,
question.
if you
Yeah.
don't mind, I just wanted to say that if after the call somebody has something that pops into their mind, they're more than welcome to email me and ask whatever they need. I'm happy to help out.
Perfect. That's great, Mark. I think that's reassuring to know that we can ask the expert.
Of course, yeah.
I have another question that came through. What sort of gear would we need to bring on the trip? Hiking boots, sleeping bag, those kinds of things.
So yeah, that's a good question. The basic things that you're going to want to bring with you are going to be obviously trekking boots, hiking boots of some sort. I'll be honest, there are people that have joined challenges like this and not worn. They've worn sneakers or like trekking shoes. It really is up to you. I personally like the security of having some ankle support when I'm trekking. It is suggested that you bring a pair of hiking boots. You will need a sleeping bag, and I would say a 3-season bag is probably adequate. If you feel the cold, it does get chilly at night. Not too terrible, but as soon as those clouds, as soon as the sun drops behind the clouds or the mountains there, the temperature drops quite quickly, and it can get down to like close to freezing at night. But the tents are expedition tents, so they're very, very well suited for what we're doing. I do tend to get a bit chilly myself, so I have a three-season bag. I just wore a pair of thermals, and I was perfectly. In fact, I was a bit warm, but so I would just say a 3-season bag at minimum to bring with you. Other than that, waterproofs in case it rains, just a cheap poncho that can slip over you and your bag at the same time. I think I spent $25 for mine. You can actually get cheaper ones as well. You can also get really expensive ones, but unless you're going to be using them often, it's not really worth it. Thermarests are supplied, so stuff that you may not have, that would be really it. A warm jacket for the evenings and the early mornings as you start to trek. That's it, really, a day pack, for camera and sunscreen, snacks, things like that, water.
Great. Okay, great. I hope that answered your questions. Great. Okay.
There is an equipment list actually in the members area. There's an equipment list they can click on, and it gives them items that they should bring, items that are suggested, optional things like that. And it goes through everything: toiletries, clothing, gear, the whole 9 yards. And if anyone's unsure, do I really need this, or it says I need it, but do I really need it? Then just drop me an email, and I'll be straight and let them know.
Super. That's great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I don't see any more questions right at the moment. I can tell you that after this email, I'm going to send everyone the recording of this so that they can, if they need to listen to it back, they can get the information. And then after this webinar, there's going to be a short survey just to get a sense of if we answered your questions and you feel good about making your decision to join us. And I think that's everything. I don't see any more questions right now, but I think.
Would you be able to share my my contact details as well?
Sure, absolutely. I can do that in my follow-up email. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. I'll just make a note of that. I'll share your contact. Yeah, no problem. Great. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. I look forward to talking to you more about the challenge, and I hope you're inspired and excited. I know I am. I'm looking forward to going on the challenge, and I hope you're interested in joining. Oh, I have another question, actually, just came in. So I'm still confused about being a self-funder. Is the cost per person 2,500 or 5,000? Well,
Okay, let me see if I can manage.
can you pull up our page?
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can do that really quick.
So there's two options. There's the self-funder model and the flexi funder model. And I guess the difference between the two is you're sort of paying more for the self-funder model, and you're fundraising a little bit less. And in the flexi model, you're paying a little bit less of the hard costs, but you're fundraising more. And so depending on how you feel about that, you can choose which one.
Yeah, so as you can see here, I'll try to highlight it to make it a little bit easier to see. For the self-funder, you pay a $650 deposit, which is the same as the flexi. You have to pay a balance of $1,790. So that's all out of your pocket. The $650 and the $1,790 are out of your pocket, and you have to raise $2,500 for the foundation. And it's called a self-funder just for the obvious. You're funding it yourself. But the full cost of the challenge is coming from your pocket. So $2,440. All right.
Yeah.
So if you do the flexi, so basically you're paying $2,440 out of pocket, and you have to raise $2,500 for the foundation through events you might want to hold, sponsorships, things like that. If you do the flexi, you pay the same $650 deposit, but you can see that the balance is $1,000 less. So you're actually paying $1,000 less out of pocket, but you have to raise $4,000 for the charity. So those are really your options. I mean, some people may say, I just don't have time, or I don't think I can do it. I'm just going to self-fund and pay it myself and then raise the $2,500. Some people might say, I either can't afford it or I don't want to spend the extra $1,000. I'm going to raise the $4,000. And a lot of the time, somebody will choose to self-fund because they say, I don't think I can raise $4,000. That's just too much. I don't think I can do it. And many, many times they will call us up and they'll say, I'm like I've already raised the minimum, or I'm so close to it. Can I switch to flexi? Because now they know that they're going to be able to hit the $4,000 mark and they can save $1,000 out of pocket. And that's usually not an issue for us. We do chat with the charity to make sure it's okay with them. Sometimes they do have guidelines when it comes to fundraising and that kind of thing. But usually it's not an issue, and then we can switch you back over. So if you're unsure if you can raise $4,000, then you can choose a self-fund, knowing that you can always switch down the road if that's something you want to do. I will say, without being patronizing, hopefully, it's not hard. I mean, it's if you've never done it before, it might seem like a bit of a mountain to climb, but once you get started, you have to think a little bit outside the box. You can't just think, oh, I'm just going to ask family and friends and some people at work. I mean, definitely do that. But if you want to get there, there are a million different types of easy, cost-free events that you can set up to do, that we can help you. We can talk to you about different ideas people have had. That you can raise that money very quickly. I've had people do events that we've explained and they've done and that have raised, in some cases, over half. In fact, not long ago, a lady just raised $1,700 in one night doing an event that cost her nothing. So it's all about, being open-minded to ideas and suggestions. We know what works. We hear all day, every day about different types of things people are doing to raise money. And we also know what doesn't work very well. So we're a resource that you are free to use. In fact, in your members area, there's fundraising advice and things like that. So please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. I mean, we had a lady who recently, she knew someone at Staples. So she went to Staples and said, I want to do a big vinyl banner to take with me on this trek. If you do the banner for me for free, I'll do your logo right in the center, bigger than anyone else's. So they did it for her. They gave her the banner for free. And then she went around and sold space on this banner. She went to all these different, she went everywhere, Starbucks, Boston Pizza, Home Hardware, every business she could think of. She would just go and she would sell logo space, both sides, two-sided. And that covered her minimum sponsorship and then some. And then the benefit to these people was that their logo was going to be seen. She was going to have an article written about her. She arranged for her local paper to do something. There was going to be a picture of this big banner. And that covered, if not all, almost all of her minimum that she had to raise. And that was one idea that she had. And I when I heard it, I just couldn't believe how amazing it was. Really outside the box thinking. There's all kinds of stuff like that we can help you, figure out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What a great
Sorry,
idea.
I went on and on there.
No, I think that's great. I'm glad you shared that because I think that's a really cool idea, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that people who maybe are hesitant about their fundraising or maybe have never fundraised before, I think that provides you an even better opportunity because your network, you haven't reached out to your network before. And it's not like they're sort of tapped out or, you keep asking or that kind of thing. It's fresh and new and interesting. And I think when people hear that you're doing this and you're doing it to support an organization that you believe in, I think people are really going to get on board. I know they are because we've done it in the past and people were very well supported in the past. So I think that, if you can kind of wrap your head around a bit of a strategy around how you want to attack it, Mark and I can help you to help you lay out a plan so that you can achieve your goal. And like I said, there's lots of resources and online fundraising and a combination between maybe online using your fundraising page and some activities that you could do with your network. I think are great. So we can talk more about those things, and I hope that you keep an open mind about the fundraising component because that's really a part of what this challenge is. It's not only a personal challenge for you, but it is a fundraising opportunity for Cuso International and for you to support an organization that you believe in. So. So thank you for answering that question. That's really
Amy,
helpful.
I will say as well that your fundraising page, the page that you provide everyone with, in itself is an incredible tool. Social media, Facebook, emails, all these different avenues. Someone will just make a little post saying, this is what I'm doing. It's for this amazing cause. Stress that you're not going on vacation. You're going to be trekking at altitude, camping. You're going to be out of your comfort zone. You're doing this to raise, funds and awareness. Anything, will be appreciated. And then they, drop in the link to the fundraising page, and now you've effectively reached how many, people, whoever, you have in your contacts.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised how much you can actually get just from that one little communication alone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And we've
yeah,
seen great success with that. Nowadays, people are more and more comfortable donating online and using those online
yeah,
platforms to make donations. So it really has been effective for our volunteers. All of our volunteers raise $2,000 as a part of their placement. And that's really part of what my role here is to help them achieve their goal. So, my role here has really been to support those volunteers, and using that online fundraising page really is great in concert with some face-to-face activities. I think achieving your goal won't be a problem, and it doesn't have to be difficult and hard and time-consuming. I think we can design something for you that will work for you and for your schedule. So keep
yeah.
that in mind. Yeah.
It, I think people will be surprised once they get started. They don't. It's not like an all-encompassing, time killer where they're doing nothing but. I think that people sort of they work it up in within themselves if they've never done it before anyway.
Hmm.
That it's going to be this big ordeal, and it's really not. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, it can
yeah.
be manageable for sure. Yeah. Well, that's great. Thank you for laying that out for us. That's really
Yeah,
helpful.
you're very welcome.
I don't see any more questions here. We're coming to the end of the hour. I'm gonna start to wrap things up here now. If anyone has any further questions, you have my email. I'm going to share Mark's email after this. And like I said, I'll share the recording of this as well. And that's where I'm going to leave you. So thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to close the things out now. But like I said, there is a survey at the end of this to give us a sense of your interest level. I'd be interested to hear that from you. And thanks everyone for joining today. I appreciate your participation and your great questions. And I look forward to talking with you more about it. Thanks again, Mark, for your presentation. I think it was really super.
You're very welcome. Everyone, thank you for your time, letting me give you this information, and hope to see you there.
Great. Thanks, Mark, and
Thanks.
thanks everyone for joining.
Take care.
Bye.